Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the brand new Civivi Knives Gander. This is a Gentry Knives collaboration. Nice EDC fixed blade size. Be a great little belt hunting knife, especially with these orange scales. Comes with a 2-part kydex, of course. I always prefer a fold over taco style kydex. That way it's got a much more minimal form factor because I like to pocket carry my EDC fixies. Comes with the Trezola T-clip. It kind of works like the large tech lock here. You can mount it in all different directions. You can have it canted on the belt. You can have it vertical carry, scout carry. You got a nice comfortable push off section here. Tons of lashing points around this sheath. Small little drainage hole there. I usually just drill it through and through. A lot of people see that and they think that's the tip sticking through the kydex. Nope, that's just a drainage hole. They do a great job of finishing all the edges on their kydex. No gaps anywhere. Nice push off. Nice positive click, absolutely no rattle. They do outstanding work on their kydex, and it's because they use nice thick kydex. I find the thick stuff holds its form a lot longer than the thinner stuff, which would make sense. To me, this is right on that borderline what I would like to carry for EDC at 7.85 inches overall. Has a 3.63 inch clip point blade. Mine has a nice satin finish on it. You have a nice bevel up here, so you don't have any sharp areas, so don't think you'll be able to strike a ferro rod. You have some functional jimping right there. It's not overly aggressive. It's not the sharpest, but it does its job. It'll grip your thumb. You have a nice precise tip there, great for piercing. You could use it to do drag cuts like that, but you're gonna have to come up to about a 45-degree angle. I'm more likely just to use that belly if I need to pull through something. That belly is gonna really benefit when cutting down on a flat surface, doing slicing motion cuts. It's gonna perform great. And that's where this one's really going to excel, that along with piercing. And then, like I said earlier, if you use this as a hunting knife, if you need to maybe clean small game, you got that nice belly to get around vital organs and stuff. Your blade steel in this one's 14C 28N, which I like on my EDC fixies because it's extremely tough, almost as tough as CPM 3V. It's got good corrosion resistance and holds a respectable edge for its price point. It can take a ridiculously keen edge and can take pretty much any type of edge you like to put on a knife, from polished to super coarse. Your blade stock thickness on this one's coming in at 0.12 inches, and you have a nice high flat grind that comes down to around 15 to 16 thousandths behind the edge. So this one should be a great slicer. Let's find out. The knife came with a nice and sharp edge out of box and seems to have really good edge geometry. It's got a nice tall flat grind, so it's slicing very well. Not to mention I'm able to get right up to that edge the way it's set up in that choil area, so I don't have to worry about getting hung up anywhere, and I'm not too worried about running into that edge as long as I'm careful. My hands fit good in the choil area and behind it, and it feels like these can be nice and comfortable. Then we move on to the move on to the wood to test the ergos, and just as I expected, those thicker contoured scales are nice and softened around the edges. I'm able to get a good bit of force into the wood. It's got a nice crisp edge, so I'm able to make fine curls rather easily. Nothing was uncomfortable at all. I could have done this for quite some time. Then we move to the 1/2 inch sisal rope, and once again the edge is good. It's got enough bite to it, and being that it has the higher tip to it, you got a good bit more belly, so this is one thing where it's really going to excel when you're cutting stuff on a flat cutting surface, and that sharp edge, good geometry is allowing it to slice through the sisal rope fairly easily. And my experience with Civivi's 14C, it usually holds a good edge throughout the entirety of my testing. In the pinch grip, it's comfortable. I got enough handle to hold on to get pressure, downward pressure as well, not just in-hand pressure. And so far, I'm enjoying it. Of course, I would have preferred it to have a lower tip to it, but being that the edge is sitting below the scales, you can use that entire edge on a flat cutting surface. So that's awesome. So if you want to do like a rocking motion cut, you can do a push cut through whatever you're cutting on a flat surface. So yeah, so far so good. Now we moved through the leather. Being that you had the higher tip, I used just the belly. It just made a lot more sense. It was a lot easier that way, and nothing really gave it any trouble. The dense tubing was easy, and the dense corner cardboard's easy, and it blasted through the denim with no problem whatsoever. So excellent job, comfortable the entire way. Yeah, I enjoyed testing this one. It was a really good slicer. It was really comfortable. You have nice contouring on the scales, nice softening on the edges, and the scales fill out the hands perfectly. I felt locked in, and the pinch grip was probably, the most comfortable doing those cuts on flat cutting surface, and then that belly makes it very easy to do so. And then in the pinch grip, being that your edge sits below these scales, you can get the entire edge onto a flat cutting surface. Say if you want to do a rocking motion cut, you can get the entire edge before you come in contact with the scales in that pinch grip. So yeah, good job on the ergos. This grip is going to be okay. You just got to watch out for the corner of this edge. And then for some reason, if you want to do the reverse gas station knife fight grip, you can do that as well, because this is nice and rounded over, especially in that tip, or you could wrap around that to be very locked in. If you need to stab it into a log or something to do some feather sticks. Let's take a look at these scales. You got nice contoured, and these are smooth orange G10 scales. And I think the most impressive thing is the softening they did, especially on this back side. There's no sharp areas, and it's always nice to see, because it's very easy to get hard 90-degree angles on G10, and it becomes sharp rather quickly. Especially when I see the contouring on a lot of knives, they don't worry about this final edge, and they keep it very crisp looking. It looks nice, but it becomes very sharp. Not the case here. And I don't know, maybe this is something he does. I don't think I've seen this, not that I recall, but they even put a chamfer on the inside right here. It gives it an interesting look, because you also have a chamfer on the actual tang of the blade. It's mating up flush with the scales. You do have a lanyard hole for the lanyard people. Like I said, they had this paracord lanyard tied to it. If I put a lanyard, it's not going to be something this big, and it's going to be probably a tight one. If I want to get a little bit extra reach, maybe back here. The average thickness for a folding knife is around a 1/2 inch thick. I always like to see my fixed blades a little bit thicker than that. I prefer them 0.6 and thicker, because it feels out the hand much nicer, especially when you have the contoured scales. These are 0.59 inches thick, so I'm good with that. Like I said, I was able to do all that cutting without any fatiguing, and no hot spots to speak of. For some reason, you had to take these scales off. Maybe you got it wet underneath here and you want to clean it out, or got some gunk underneath there. You have bolt-on construction, 2 large T8 fasteners there. I just noticed the Gentry logo right there. And I don't know, when it comes to sharpening choils, that's how it's done. You can always tell whenever they work with some of these custom makers, they usually nail that. So this is what I'm always talking about. They brought the plunge grind all the way back, so you're gonna have all this before you have to worry about it widening. And this is a fixed blade. That's a quick and easy fix. So if once I got to this spot, then I could cut a little notch in right here if I wanted to. Let's talk about the sheath. Well, I put the T-clip back on because this is how it came to me. I did have an Ulti-clip on this side, carrying it in the pocket. Now, I will say for my particular needs, this one is a little bit weightier than I like to carry in the pocket. So with the sheath, clip, and lanyard, it comes in at 8 ounces. It's the lanyard, it comes in at 7.71 ounces. I forget what it was when I had the Ulti-clip, but I think it was similar to what it is here. I tend to like my EDC fixed blades to be under the 7 ounce mark, preferably under the 6 ounce mark. And just the knife alone comes in at 4.58 ounces. And that's okay. Being this is a 2-part sheath anyway, it takes up a lot of real estate in the pocket. So for me, I would either flip this clip to where I can carry it horizontally on the belt, scout carry. I think that would be a good option for this one, or canted carry on my belt, depending on what I'm using it for. But like I said, they did a fantastic job with their sheaths. I do wish they'd do their drainage hole out the middle like that, where they keep the little hole instead of just doing this. I don't see that being that effective, because usually if I can, I'll blow it out with compressed air, and I'm trying to push it out this way. when I blow it out compressed air and you have that, it usually bunches up against the sidewalls first, and then sometimes it'll go out that way. And if it's all the way at the bottom, I could hang it upside down. I don't know. Not the biggest deal, but just something to want to mention. Now time for some quick size comparisons. It's a decent bit shorter than the Civivi Elementum fixed blade, and it's pretty much identical in length to the Sencut Waxahachie. Next up, it's very similar in length to the Vosteed Fullback and the Kaiser Quaken. And it's just a hair shorter than the Vosteed Large Mink, and it's just a hair longer than the Kaiser Baby. And lastly, it's in the middle of the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. Now, being that absolutely no knife's perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? Well, these are all very minor nitpicks. They're not hurting the functionality of the knife any, but I always prefer on the smaller fixed blades to see the fold over taco sheets, so it keeps it a lot more streamlined, especially if I want a pocket carry. However, this one's a little heavier than I tend to carry in my pocket anyway, so it doesn't really bug me. Especially I use the T-clip, carry it, scout carry, or canton on my belt. I do love the fact that they use nice thick kydex, so it's got nice pop to it and no rattle. Really good form factor and a nice comfortable spot to push off on. And I guess they could have made this jimping a little bit sharper. I don't know if it's not deep enough or what it is. Maybe they rounded over the very sides of it. But it's not as grippy as the new Civivi Pragma Prime. Now that I got them side by side, you can easily see the difference. See how deep these are compared to the fixed blade. You can see they must have did a different type of blasting on this one before they did the satin finish. But I definitely get a lot more traction on the Pragma Prime than on the Gander. Well, all that said, what are my final thoughts on the new Civivi Gander? I think it's an attractive looking fixed blade. This may be perfect size for your EDC. For me, it's going to be more of a belt knife, and that's fine. It's a great slicer. I think it would make a great compact camp knife, belt knife, hunting knife, especially, being that you have that nice deep belly. It's going to be comfortable, slicey, and comes ready to carry. The Gander in this configuration with the G10 scales comes in at $78. And do I think it's worth it? Yeah, I think it's worth it. Excellent fit and finish on this one. Great sheath, great clip option. Excellent contouring and softening on the G10 scales. So it's super comfortable. So if this one does it for you, I can definitely recommend it. And if you're interested in picking one up and you want to help support the channel, you can use my links that will be down below in the description, along with all the other new release Civivis, Sencuts, and WE knives. So that's going to do it for today's video. If you have any questions in particular, feel free to ask me down below, and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep these blades sharp. Smile more.